Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching a video called 29 Tips I Wish I Knew Before Visiting Amsterdam. I'm guessing it's going to be a video of obviously a tourist that has been to Amsterdam specifically, and it's going to be maybe a video about cultural differences and cultural things that they do and probably you shouldn't do, because obviously you don't want to offend anyone in the country and in the city that you're visiting. And it's probably going to be like that. Maybe he was like, oh no, I did something super offensive and I wasn't aware of, and you shouldn't do this if you ever visit Amsterdam. Maybe it's going to be like that. Or maybe it's going to be more of, cautionary. Hey, you know what? Don't waste your time visiting, I don't know, this landscape or this landmark, or maybe get a bus pass, or get one of those monthly train passes, something like that. I don't know, but I'm super excited to find out. So let's check it out and comment, subscribe, and start.
World-famous canals, red light district, and world-class Dutch art are in Amsterdam. But traveling to Amsterdam can be a bit challenging.
Why?
As a tour guide, I'll share all the basics you need to know for your visit to Amsterdam. I'll show you the most important tourist attractions, iconic must-try Dutch food, when is the best time to visit, how many days to spend, where to book a room, and the best ways to get around the city. And at the end, I'll share my favorite tips and tricks about Amsterdam. Most important tourist attraction is world-famous Canal District, the heart of Amsterdam, with beautiful houses, best shops, bars and restaurants. Here is also the most important museum in the country, holding some of the world's biggest masterpieces. Even if you're not a fan of paintings, you've heard of famous Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh. Visiting his museum is simply a must. Another must is a deeply moving Anne Frank house. Oh. It's about a young Jewish girl who was hiding here from the Nazis during the Second World War. Amsterdam is also home of one of the most famous beer brands in the world, Heineken.
Oh my
God! There are also lively squares with great architecture known for its cafes, bars and nightlife clubs. On the outskirts of Amsterdam, you can admire famous Dutch windmills. Once the oldest industrial area in Europe, has become a popular open-air museum. Amsterdam is also famous for its tulips and has a unique flower market with all sorts of tulips. World-famous red light district with red lit windows also offers unique museums and cannabis coffee shops. Main Square has the Royal Palace, beautiful Gothic-style church and a popular Amsterdam's national monument. If you're brave enough, you should also visit the highest lookout point in Amsterdam, famous for its spectacular views and Europe's highest swing.
They have a swing!
This is Space Cake, an original Amsterdam invention that includes cannabis. Quirky food is another attraction of Amsterdam. The best place to taste popular Dutch finger food is an old tram depot known as De Halen, with more than 30 food stalls from Amsterdam's most respected kitchens. Here you can try one of the best bitterballen, the most popular Dutch street food. Bitterballen are deep-fried, bread-crumbed meat-filled balls. They come in various flavors, but the most traditional ones have a filling consisting of beef, flour, beef broth and various seasonings. Absolutely perfect.
Looks very good.
Another popular street food is a fried fish snack called kibbeling. Dish was born from the need to use cod leftovers, as the word kibbeling originally meant the remains.
Does he have a sauce?
Nowadays, besides codfish, different types of whitefish can also be used. Kibbeling is made of battered chunks of whitefish and deep fried. It's eaten both as a snack, served in a tray directly from fishmongers, or as a main dish at the table in a restaurant. But the most interesting food in Amsterdam is a small fish from the North Sea called herring, as it's eaten raw. New herring arrives in Amsterdam every June, when a traditional auction of the first battle of fish takes place. On every corner of Amsterdam, fish stands pop up and they remain there till the end of September, when herring season ends. Fish is chopped into bite-sized pieces and served on a paper plate with onions and pickles. If you're visiting Amsterdam in the off-herring season like me, you can still try it, but there are less places selling it, and the fish is called matje herring. Stampot remains to be one of the oldest and most popular Dutch dishes. The word means mashed pot, as potatoes and several different vegetables are mashed together. There are several stampot variations, so don't get confused by the menu, as they are basically all the same thing. Stampot can also be served with smoked sausage or cooked meat on the side. And for dessert,
you should try a crispy Dutch waffle.
Most popular waffle in Amsterdam is called stroopwafel.
Ooh, they're
It's like
so
a
good.
sandwich composed of two round, thin waffles that are baked crispy in a waffle iron, after which two waffles are glued together with a
So
sweet
good.
syrup. It's
Yeah.
absolutely delicious.
But before you start packing, let's check when is the best time to visit Amsterdam. Summer is the peak of the season due to pleasant
Makes
summer
sense.
temperatures and long sunny days. But
Very
perfect
perfect.
weather attracts huge crowds. Popular places are packed and hotels are
That's
full
true.
despite its premium prices. Between September and November, the crowds get thinner and the weather remains quite pleasant. As accommodation options become a little bit more affordable, this is a
depends.
great time to visit. Winter season is between December and March and it can be quite unpleasant. Days are short, dark and nearly freezing, although prices are at its lowest.
you won't be able to
is
walk.
nice, as you can see from my footage. If you're coming to see the tulips, book your room during the last 2 weeks of April and the first 2 weeks of May. That's why I recommend a trip to Amsterdam between April and May in spring and between September and November in autumn. And for how many nights should you book your room? Even
no
a
winter.
very long summer day is not enough to get a proper taste of Amsterdam. Sites are spread around the historical city center and visiting museums and galleries does take some time. Besides, there are many great squares with cafes and bars where you would want to soak up the atmosphere. With a
Of
limited
course.
itinerary, 2 nights in Amsterdam might be enough, but I would rather recommend
Really?
at least 3 nights. If you
Yeah.
add more, you could also do some out-of-the-town trips. But where should you stay in Amsterdam? Most attractions are clustered around historic canals of the city center, but finding a vacant room
And
during
it's probably more
popular months
expensive.
can be a bit challenging, so be sure to book well ahead. On booking.com, I would recommend the following neighborhoods: Oud Centrum, Jordaan, Canal Belt, and Museum Quarter. I would also add to the list Leidseplein neighborhood, nestled on a great location between Canal Belt and Museum Quarter. Oud Centrum includes the most central neighborhoods, including famous red light district. The area is full of historical buildings, beautiful canals, cannabis coffee shops, restaurants, stores, and all sorts of museums.
Everything.
That neighborhood is also known for canals and beautiful houses. Its main highlight is Anne Frank House, a museum with a heartbreaking World War II story. Canal Belt includes 3 main canals that form a ring around the old town. They were dug during
It's a
the Dutch
ring?
Golden Age and are the most prestigious area with the most beautiful architecture. Museum Quarter is famous for museums lined around the largest
sense.
square in the city. The area also has Amsterdam's biggest and
What a
most
beautiful
popular
park.
city park. Even if you find your accommodation outside these neighborhoods, you should be fine, as Amsterdam has a decent public transport. Still, the best way to see Amsterdam is on foot, as the city center is compact and easily walkable. But when you
Love
need
it.
public transport, you can choose between tram,
It's
bus,
pink.
or metro. For each journey, it's required to check in when boarding and check out on exiting by using a reader. You will need a transport ticket or a contactless debit or credit card that also works as a ticket. Tickets come as disposable
Oh.
plastic smart cards and can be bought from ticket vending machines at all metro stations and
So
most other stations.
practical.
A single ticket is valid for 1 hour, but for more than 2 trips a day, you should get a daily ticket. It gets
Definitely.
activated on the first check-in and remains valid for 24 hours. Tickets can even be bought on board of a tram, either from a machine or a seller in a booth, but you cannot pay cash. Part of the public
Yeah, of course, they'll
transport
buy
are
card.
also ferries departing behind the central station and crossing the river. They are free of charge and don't require any tickets. But the most
Oh.
popular way of getting around Amsterdam is cycling. Bicycles are absolutely everywhere, and there are even huge underground bicycle garages. If you want to experience the everyday commute of most residents,
Rent a bike.
you will have no problems finding a bike rental shop. Most people arrive to Amsterdam via Schiphol Airport. From the airport, you can get to the city by train, bus, or taxi. Taxi is by far the most expensive option, costing between 50 to 70 euro. Trains are great, running 24 hours to multiple stations,
God,
including
24
Amsterdam
hours?
Central Station. It takes only 17 minutes and costs only 5 euro. During the day, trains run every
That's
10
incredible.
to 15 minutes, and after midnight, they run hourly. You can also use buses, as Amsterdam Airport Express Bus is the quickest way to places near Museumsplein and Leidseplein. Before I share my favorite tips and tricks, I would like to thank you for smashing thumbs up and for your super thanks support. In Amsterdam, you can safely drink tap water. The city is relatively safe and everyone speaks good English. However, you should be aware of pickpockets in the crowded parts of the city center,
Like every
the
other
red light
touristy
district.
town.
Be aware that you are not allowed to take photos of the sex workers in the red light district. To stay out of trouble, you should keep your phone or camera in your pocket at all times. If you don't, a security will show up from nowhere and probably smash your camera.
Still, if you want to
As
take a
you
photo
should.
of beautiful historical buildings, double check that there are no red lit windows around. To save time,
Oh my God,
book
it's
ahead
true.
where possible. Otherwise, expect spending a lot of time in queues and waiting for your time slot. More and more places don't accept cash, so it's a good idea to have a credit or debit card. Also be aware of bicycles and never stand or walk in the bike lane. Be sure to always take a good look both ways before crossing, as silent bicycles can cause serious accidents. If you use a
someone's gonna
bicycle,
run
be
into
sure
you.
to always lock it with 2 locks. Use one for locking the front wheel to the frame and the other for locking the back
What
wheel
is
to
that?
a post or some other structure
Like a carriage.
mounted to the ground.
In Amsterdam, there is a massive difference between a cafe and a coffee shop. Cafe is
What's
a
the
place where you
difference?
drink coffee, while in coffee shop, they sell marijuana.
Some of these
Oh.
coffee shops are only counters where you can buy weed, while others look like a proper cafes intended for smoking weed. Smoking outside coffee shops might end up with a fine, and the same goes for drinking alcohol outside bars.
I hope this video will make your trip to Amsterdam much easier. Also check my favorite Amsterdam tours and tickets in the description below and you'll be ready to go.
To learn more about best things to do in Amsterdam, watch this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Okay, yeah, this was incredibly funny. I had no idea about the difference between the coffee shop and a cafe because I would absolutely think it's the same thing. So it's like great of them to warn you and be like, hey, it's not the same thing at all. Because it's like you're going to a coffee shop thinking you're gonna get some, and you're just, I don't know, I'm gonna get some coffee. I'm going in a cafe. So it just says coffee shop. I guess it's the same. It's like, no, it isn't. And it's absolutely not the same. So great. Thanks for the warning. I think it's actually like also really funny that it was like, hey, something I shouldn't do is obviously you don't take photos of in the red light district. But it's like, well, yeah, I think obviously they have to warn you, but I would guess, well, that goes without saying. Obviously, like, it's not a zoo, like they're just people working. But and I like that he's like, but you also have to be very careful because if apparently it has like a red. Because maybe it's not in the red light district. Maybe if like it's a building because it's a nice building and obviously you want to take a photo of that. That if it has like a red line or something, I don't really remember like how it is. Like you have to be careful because if you're taking a picture of that, people are gonna think you're actually taking pictures of the thing, and obviously someone's gonna come and like smash your phone or gonna take your phone away, or maybe you're gonna get arrested. I don't know, but it's like don't get in trouble. So you really do have to be very careful. I think when it comes to like taking photos of buildings and exactly like where you're from. It's like, where are you from? Like where are you like standing in this moment in time? I'm like, I'm near the red light district. No, okay, so I can like take a photo of this beautiful building. But I do think it's funny that he was like, well, obviously like go during the spring because it's, you know, obviously there's gonna be like more people, but obviously the weather is nice and obviously you want to walk around. And he was like, also in the autumn, like it's very like the weather is still gonna be pleasant, you're gonna be able to like sightsee and it's gonna be pleasant and beautiful, but no winter. Obviously the winter is not it's not a good place to visit because I think it's freezing. I don't know how low the temperatures get, but it's funny that he was like, do not go in there because I think there are some cities that it's worth visiting in the winter. I think it's very charming. Like you have all the Christmas lights and all the Christmas decorations and you have snow. And obviously you know it's going to be like, oh, I'm going to have a picnic at a park. But it's beautiful in a different kind of way. But it's funny. He was like, do not go visit. Do not go in the winter. Like the winter is miserable. Do not go there. Because there are some cities that I know are like that. Like the winter is quite miserable. And they're like, no. It's not charming. Like, it's not like, oh, what a beautiful white Christmas. It's like, no, do not go there. But also quite funny that he was like, oh, it was 13 degrees Celsius. And he was like, it's pleasant weather. I'm like, well, depends a lot because 13 degrees Celsius, I think it can be quite cold depending on like in the humidity levels and where you're from. But 13, I know that for some places are like, no, it's fine, like it's still nice. But for other places, 13 is quite like, it can feel like 10 or -9, so depending on the humidity levels, and so it gets cold. So it's like, I wouldn't say 13 degrees. It's like, oh, it's pleasant. It's like, well, it depends. You have to check on that. Like, you have to really do check the weather. But I do love this guy. I thought it was very, very helpful. I do like the fact that you have like in downtown, you know, Amsterdam itself, I think it has like a lot of options when it comes to like neighborhoods, so you can like stay in. And even though obviously like I think near the canals are probably gonna be like, it's gonna be probably more expensive, and probably you're not gonna get like, they're all occupied. You're not gonna be able to like book a room. There are like so many options that I think it doesn't really matter, because everything's nearby. They have great public transport, and like everything's walkable as well. So it's like, you don't have to stay like near exact center and near the downtown, because like everything's like walkable. So you can just like go and maybe like stay in like in the outskirts, although it's probably not the outskirts, it's just a little further away, and you're just gonna have a good time. And I love that. And it's also really funny to me, obviously, the whole bike situation, because he's like, if you do like rent a bike, which I'm sure that he said like there's a lot of options. I do think it's funny that he's like, you have to log it, you know, you have to log your front wheel, you have to log the other wheel. And I'm wondering how common it is for like bikes to get stolen in Amsterdam, because there's like, I think there's gonna be more bikes than cars. And I think obviously in a lot of cities, it's not normal, but I think it's more commonplace, obviously, for someone to like steal your car. And here is the opposite. So there's like a lot of like bike thievery. There's a lot of bike thieves, or it's not like no one's gonna go and steal your bike. But I think yes, people do steal your bike, but otherwise it wouldn't be like, you do have to, hey, remember to lug your bike. So it's like, okay, so your bike can get stolen, which I'm like, I can't believe, like, what do you mean my bike got stolen? Like, that's crazy. Like that concept, like someone stealing your bike. Why would someone steal your bike? But apparently it's normal there, because, well, it makes sense, because if like people don't use cars, they use bikes, maybe like the thieves are like, no, we need your bike. But yeah, this was great. I love this guide, and I definitely want to go to Amsterdam, hopefully in the spring, when there's like tulip season and the weather is nicer. And I know the thing about like not mistaking a coffee shop for a cafe. Now I know the difference. I'll never forget it. But this is really funny and very interesting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.